members of MAPPS are generally business owners and leaders in their fields. By listening to them and learning from them, where do you see the geospatial professions, and specifically surveying, in, say, 5 years from now?
Well, I think there's a very bright future. I think you're going to see much more integration of data, and the distinction between a surveyor and someone in another geospatial discipline, those distinctions are going to become blurred. I think the mortgage crisis is starting to raise awareness of the importance of parcel data in this country, and of course that's surveying data. I see a growing market. The market's going to change. The client base is going to change. The geospatial side of things is moving to much more of a consumer market, where historically a mapping firm, a photogrammetry firm, his or her clients have been engineers, surveyors, government agencies, who were very technically, a very technical market, a very narrow, sophisticated user. With web-based delivery, with cloud computing, it is now moving towards much more of a mass consumer market. And that's a challenge, but it's also an opportunity. But it certainly means growth in a much larger market in the future. So I'm very optimistic. I think where technology is going in terms of data collection, data processing, data dissemination, it's all positive, and I see it as a spectacularly growing community.
That's definitely good to hear, given the current climate and a lot of people out there struggling. So it's good to hear, positive, optimistic outlook on things.
Well, that's one of the differences, I think, right now with the way perhaps traditional surveyors are being impacted by the current economy, and the way the broader geospatial community is being impacted. There is a much broader market today for photogrammetry, for aerial satellite collection, for the processing, for the building of geographic information systems. I've argued that if this recession had hit in the 1980s, the mapping side of things would be struggling as much as the surveying side is today. But the mapping side has a much broader market. And while the real estate related work is certainly down, and that's where surveyors are feeling it, there are so many other markets now, so many other areas that demand geospatial data, that by and large, our members have not been suffering perhaps as much as the traditional land surveyor. Now, that's not to say that things can't be better, and that's not to say that everyone is doing well. But from what I hear from my members and what we see in surveys that we do of our membership, there are non-real estate related markets that are helping to sustain firms through this recession, and doing much better than they would if we were a very development and real estate based profession as we were 20 or 30 years ago.
And John, just to wrap up, you mentioned a little bit about, we talked about the difficult economy, the difficult business climate, and your meetings are known for having meetings in nice locations around North America, even the Caribbean. What is your approach to that now? And what is your outlook for meetings? What's your calendar look like coming up?
Well, first of all, that is a tradition of MAPPS that even predates my association with the group. Back in the days of the old LCP, they did have their meetings at very desirable locations. But it really goes to something that is extraordinarily unique with MAPPS that we haven't touched on as of yet, and that is going to a MAPPS meeting is not going to a meeting with your competitors. It is going to a meeting with potential business partners. And the networking that goes on in MAPPS and the business-to-business relationships that come out of that is just extraordinary. And I think that is very unique to MAPPS. So the fellow sitting next to you at a conference, you may be competing against on a project on Monday, and then you're teaming on a project on Tuesday. And so we try to create an atmosphere that is conducive to that kind of business-to-business networking and that kind of relationship at the MAPPS conferences. To us, a quality conversation is not 5 minutes on the exhibit hall floor in your booth with another firm. It's being in an environment and a kind of climate and situation that is conducive to doing business with other folks. So yes, we do have meetings in nice locations. But for example, to go to Snowmass, Colorado is not much more expensive than meeting in downtown Denver. So if people are going to incur the expense of going to a conference, we like to do them in nicer locations. Now, we're cognizant of the fact that the economy has slowed down and people are watching every dollar, and so we're responding accordingly. But I have had members come to me and say, do not lower the quality of the destinations we go to for MAPPS meetings. And I was curious, and one fellow in particular that just recently approached me with this comment, and I asked him why. And he said, what really makes MAPPS special is it does attract the top people in the firms, the decision makers, the owners, the partners, the senior executives in the firms. And he said, if you lower the quality of the places you go for your meetings, you're going to lower the quality of the people who come from the firms. He says, so just keep doing what you're doing. So we do a combination of things. We have 2 meetings a year, generally, here in Washington. We have the largest, most robust day on Capitol Hill of any organization in the geospatial community. Our members come in every year for a 2-day conference. The first day, they get an overview of the federal market. We have over a dozen agencies come in and do presentations on their budgets, their programs, the contracting opportunities that are in the pipeline. So our members get a very good overview of the federal market on the first day. And then the second day, our members go to Capitol Hill, and we do all of the scheduling here out of our office. We set up over 300 appointments with congressmen and senators for one day, where our members will go together as a delegation. So all the members from Virginia will go together and visit the congressmen and senators from Virginia. Our members from South Dakota will go together and visit the congressmen from South Dakota and the like in all the states that are represented. And we promote a very aggressive agenda to benefit the private geospatial community, either in working against bad legislation or promoting things that will help the public and benefit our members. And then we have a summer and winter meeting that are at resort destinations. They're very relaxed, they're very laid back. But again, they are very conducive to education, to networking, to business development, to business or peer-to-peer, firm-to-firm partnering relationships. And it's a formula that seems to work, and we're going to continue to do that. And as long as our members see value in that, and we get good reviews, and the demand is there, it's the way that we're going to proceed.
Good. Is there anything on the calendar, events coming up in the future that you could mention? Or? Well,
our Federal Programs Conference is coming up in March. It is always in March. That's the best time to be in Washington. It's when a lot of the appropriations bills are being developed. It's when the calendar is being set on authorizations. So our meeting in 2012 is the 27th and 28th of March in Washington, D.C. Our summer meeting will be in July in Aspen, Snowmass, Colorado. And then we have a joint specialty conference with ASPRS in late October, early November of 2012 in Tampa with ASPRS.